Hey guys, welcome to the homestead. So today's project, pony cleanup. So Pony has a strong dislike to the very coarse hay. So I mean he'll eat it if he gets really angry, but where it's been so wet here and rainy in Maine, we've been feeding him in his stall a lot. So if you guys come over and take a look in, you'll see that he's made a bit of a mess.
A pony party.
So we've got we got that going on. We just moved the chickens out of the waterer because they're big enough now to come in here. I should probably lock their gate a little bit. But you see they're all hanging around the feeder and the waterer. And we had kind of a mishap with these guys. We got a brooder plate, which is over there. You guys can turn around and look at it if you won't get seasick. But it's underneath that green bucket, underneath the red thing on top of the shavings. And we had that set up for them. Everything seemed right. They seemed happy. Yeah, Pony's gonna escape. Hey. And everything seemed like it was doing what it was supposed to do. When we come out the next morning, and the brooder plate was barely even warm to the touch, and unfortunately we lost a handful of chickens because of that. The brooder plate quit working. I don't know if it's got a thermostat inside it that malfunctioned or what happened, but lesson learned. I like the idea of the brooder plate, but we're going to go back to light heat bulbs, and we'll go to 2 of them and when they're young, and that way if one fails, they've got something to huddle under until the next day when we come out and see it. The first 2 or 3 days is the most delicate time with them, and that thing failed on night 1, so it really let us down. We really felt horrible, but there's not much you can do. That's kind of part of life on the farm, I guess. So we'll probably get another handful, get this thing rejuvenated, maybe put a few more in here. We'd like to be around 30. I think with what we got in the freezer, 30 more will carry us through the next year, and life should be pretty good there. We still have half of a cow, or is it half of a whole cow?
Half of a whole cow.
Half of a whole cow. So we still have half of our cow left over. So that should go us probably a good solid another 6 or 8, 10 months. We're still not really sure what our plan is. We're actually toying with, if the Dodge comes through paint, which you guys have probably just seen the video where I explain why our Dodgy videos are all over the place. But if it comes through paint okay this week, and the motor work turns out good, and it goes to Florida with no ill effects and runs like I think it should, we will probably, yes, there you go. We will probably next spring do a tour of the U.S. and we'll bring you guys along for that. We're really excited about that. A lot of places we want to see. We may leave Florida a little early and tour out through, Texas and that area, up through Utah. We really want to spend some time in Utah. We're excited about that. So we'll just see how that goes. We don't know what our plans are at the moment. It's all up in the air. But we want to take enough. We like to take enough meat with us to Florida to get us through the winter, pretty much in Florida. And we have a freezer that fits in the camper just perfectly. It's a little, I don't know, 7-8 cubic foot, something like that, from Lowe's. And that fits. You can lug it up in. It sets right into the kitchen. And Sue actually uses it as an island. Yeah, you want attention, don't you?
No, he wants treats.
Yeah. Sue uses it as an island, and that allows us to take enough meat to get through. About half full, it gets us through the winter in Florida. So, we may take a little extra this year. We may not even bring that freezer back with us because we may not want to tote it around the country and take up space in the camper. A lot of unknowns. The one known is I got to clean up after this monster. Yeah. He's doing pretty good. Like I said, he's a little picky about his hay sometimes. But that might look like a lot, but that's probably about 1/4 of a bale of hay out of probably 8 or 10 bales we fed him in here. And he does the same thing with his round bales. He'll tunnel all through them to get the real fine stuff. And then he'll go back and he'll chew on the coarse stuff as he feels like he has to if we don't give him new, fresh stuff. He never starves, that's for sure. So, yeah, you're kind of like the tiny little dog. You eat anything you want to eat, don't you? Sue's been taking him out and putting him on the hill out there where I can't mow with the lawnmower. Let him do my lawn mowing for me in the places where the lawnmower doesn't go. Which, speaking of lawnmowers, we've got a new one too, but we'll have to talk about that later. So, anyway, that's my morning chores. We're going to get that done. I have to, if you guys spin around, I'll do a little dictating here, but or narrating, whatever this. I don't know what the proper term is. But you'll notice up on the roof, there's Dishy up there. We're not actually using Dishy right now. We just put back into play U.S. Cellular's home internet. The tower is maybe a mile that way. So for $59 a month, we get 600 gigabytes. Am I in the light now? All right. For $59 a month, we get 600 gigabytes. So we put that back into play. We're going to actually set Dishy up is what they call roaming, I believe. And with roaming, it's a lot more money a month. I think it's 150 bucks a month, but you can pause it anytime you want to pause it. So like if we want to go somewhere, like we've got an upcoming camping trip this summer in Maine where there's no cell service. So we can take Dishy and set it on the roof of the camper. We'll have internet and cell phones because our cell phones work off the internet as well. And that'll work. So that's today's project also, is to get Dishy down. And then you'll notice there's a silver patch. Well, there's actually two silver patches on the roof up here. The lower one is where the ice slid down and it ripped the vent pipe out of the roof, made a big hole. I patched that up and brought the vent pipe out the side. The other one that's up in the middle of the roof there was a metal bestus chimney. And that's only about 6 feet down from the ridge. And we had so much ice and snow here this winter that it all slid and it ripped the chimney off, flattened it out, and maybe Sue will show you in a little bit. Well, actually, we can show you right now if you follow me. There's the, down there is the one that folded over. This is the piece that went in the roof. That's the piece that went outside. That piece is on the ground, and you can see all the carnage that that happened in the middle of the winter. So my other project for today is probably to get up there and look at the patch. Our neighbor, super good friend, he called me up. He said, hey, you got a problem. We got an inch of rain coming. You got any metal kicking around? I said, yeah, go look in the back of the lean-to. Should be some metal roofing. He climbed up there in the middle of the winter and pulled all the chimney stuff out, slid that piece of metal roofing up under there and screwed it down. It doesn't leak, but I figure I ought to put a better eyes on it because he told me I should look at it because he wasn't sure he did a good enough job. My theory is it doesn't leak. He probably did a great job, but I'll check it anyways, like he said. And yeah, so I think that's it. We'll bring you back and we'll talk about this later. This is a whole nother story in itself, but we won't go too far into that just at the moment. That's probably a whole video in its own self. The other thing we have to do today is we have to update the firmware in the Rosies. There's new firmware out. It really doesn't fix anything, but it changes a lot of stuff, and engineering wants to make sure they didn't break anything from previous. So we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll do that. We got all sorts of stuff to do today. And we got to go to the dump. So should be a busy day. Anyhow, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.